Next, I would like to invite Mr. Đỗ Hoàng Điểm, Chairman of Vietdong, to say a few words. Cảm ơn bác sĩ Phong. Tiếp theo tôi xin mời ông Đỗ Hoàng Điểm, Chủ tịch Vietdong có đôi lời.
Wow, I regret letting him speak first because many things I wanted to say, he already said that, so that's not fair. Well, I'd like to share a memory that I had about the first time I met Chris, about 10 years ago. And that was the first time we met each other. And you know what? We met in a Vietnamese restaurant. We sat down for a bowl of pho together. And we talked about many things. And I remember I walked out from that lunch and I thought to myself, wow, this guy is really genuine. He's really down to earth. And that was my very first impression about Chris. And because of the work that I do, ladies and gentlemen, because of the work that I do, I travel all over the world. North America, Europe, Asia. I met with a ton of elected officials, a ton of government officials. I met with representatives from UN, NGOs, with a lot of people. And all of those meetings, and then whenever I met with Chris. What really struck me about Chris is that he really cared. He really cared about what he's doing. He really reflect the values of human rights, democracy, justice. Like I said, I met with a lot of people. I worked with a lot of people, and they do their work because it's their responsibility, because that's their job, right? But no, not with Chris. He did what he had to do because he believed in it, because it reflects his values. And that's what makes me really respect Chris. That's what makes you so genuine, Chris. And I really, really treasure that. I really value you, not only as a friend, but as a human being. You really have a really great impact in my viewpoint, and I really respect you for what you have done. So again, I don't think this is a farewell. This is definitely a thank you event, but I don't believe in farewell because I believe we will see each other. We will continue to do what's right. I believe that the fight's not over, so I know that you will always be a part of this fight, and you will carry on with us. So thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Mr. Đỗ Hoàng Điểm. And now I would like to invite Chris and his wonderful wife, Miss Bernadette, to the stage as Mr. Đỗ Hoàng Điểm will kindly present to you a plaque and flowers as a token of our appreciation. Xin chân thành cảm ơn ông Đỗ Hoàng Điểm. Và bây giờ tôi mời dân biểu Chris Hayes và vợ của ông, bà Bernadette, lên sân khấu. Ông Đỗ Hoàng Điểm sẽ trao tặng plaque và bông hoa như một lời tri ân của chúng tôi.
Picture together first.
Oh, okay, yes.
Well, thank you very much, Dim, Phong, all my friends that are here today. Thank you for coming out. You really humble me. The issue of human rights can't be just something you do as a politician. The issue of human rights has got to be something you genuinely believe in. And I must say, ever since I met with Phong and Tan Anh and others from Vietnam, when Dim came over, I was always really impressed by the fact that here's a Vietnamese community that came to Australia not longer than 1975, following the fall of Saigon. All immigrants to this country, but never forgot where they came from. Never forgot the plight of people in Vietnam. Always prepared to stand up and call out when things were wrong. Now, it would have been very easy to migrate to Australia and think, well, okay, our kids can go to school, we get good jobs here, and that's it. But the Vietnamese community didn't. They always had a regard from where they came from for the plight of Vietnam itself. And what we see from issues of communist governments, and it doesn't matter whether it's Vietnam, China or other places where you have single state governments, we see the rule of law is always responsible to the government. Courts are responsible to the government. And when that occurs, invariably, the very first casualty is human rights itself. And that's why an organisation like Viettan is prepared to stand up and call it out is absolutely invaluable, not simply for the Vietnamese community, but quite frankly for people in this country, Australians generally, who believe in a fair go, decency, and the way we relate to one another. Could I just say a few things about Ken Van Chow? And I've been talking about him now almost for 3 years in the Parliament, or both in and outside the Parliament. I accept that he entered the country illegally. And I know other people who have entered the country illegally have been simply arrested, put on the next plane, sent back to where they came and told never to come again. So persona non grata. But on this occasion, he was 70 years old at the time, a retired person, had a bakery not far from here. They decided to make an example of him. And they decided to put him to trial. And this is a very honest bloke we're talking about. He was not a terrorist, but because he was honest enough to admit he was a member of Viet Thanh, Australia, that was enough for them to actually try him and convict him as a terrorist. Now, Viet Thanh, look, Dr. Fong personifies Viet Thanh here in Australia. Dr. Fong is my cardiologist. And that's when I said, when jokingly, he knows me inside and out. But this is not an organisation that the Australian people have a notion of what terrorism is about and what a terrorist organisation is about. This is not like Hamas or Hezbollah or Islamic State or all those other organisations that we know are all about causing death and destruction within a society. That's not what this organisation is about. So it does, I think, and as I've been talking to Dim about, is that we do need to get governments that actually deal with Vietnam, Australia's one of them, to start realising the fact that, and be able to declare that Viet Thanh in this country is not a terrorist organisation, it's a peace-loving organisation, pro-democratic and also a human rights advocacy organisation. If all those countries that are dealing with Vietnam today start doing the same thing, we just put pressure and more pressure on that government to say, well, they can't gazette or you can't determine by decree that simply being a member of Viet Thanh makes you a terrorist. Anyway, we've had the findings of the working group on arbitrary detention, and they have found numerous flaws in the way that Ken Van Chow was arrested and also his court process itself. The flaws I just don't think can be remedied, and the only remedy I think is available is for the Vietnamese government to actually not necessarily exonerate, but to actually get Ken Van Chow out of prison and send him back here to where he belongs with his wife and his family back here in Barella and in Sydney. But it's been an honour for me to be associated with the Vietnamese community. It's been an honour because Australia is a country, unless you were right to mention right at the start, and I should have done the same, acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Aboriginal people. They're not the immigrants. Every one of us, you, Bernadette, me, we're either all immigrants or descended from immigrants in this great nation of ours. And but having regard to the fact that the Vietnamese have only been here since 1975 and onwards, you know, you're a relatively new group of immigrants. My forebears came here in the 1860s when there was a big famine in Ireland. But you've come here, you've made a better life for yourselves, your families, you've raised your children here. Your kids do extremely well. The doctors, the lawyers, the accountants, the businesses and all the rest. Our country would not be as successful as it is today if it wasn't for that determination and that spirit of the Vietnamese people to succeed. You have made an incredible impact on Australia. You have largely been responsible for elevating our status as an advanced country. And for that, I think the country owes you a great sense of gratitude. You really have made a difference for the better. And when I think that Australia is an immigrant-based country, and for all the immigrants that came here and all the original forebears that came here by boat, but in chains, regrettably, but from there on, no group of immigrants has made such an indelible aspect in terms of improving the welfare of community, and not just the Vietnamese community, but the community generally, as the Vietnamese themselves. So you should be very, very proud of what you've been able to achieve, and certainly be very proud of what your kids are doing and what they're going to do for the future. So it's been an honour again to be associated with Viet Thanh. We have worked on many, many projects together. Regrettably, when I left Parliament a couple of months ago, when I gave my last speech in the Federal Parliament, I said I regretted profoundly that I was not able to achieve at that stage Kem Van Chau's release from Vietnam. For me, as I said on a TV interview last night, this is unfinished business. This is something that should be concluded as quickly as possible, and this man should be returned home. And as I say, I do regret that I was not able to achieve that while I was in Parliament, but hopefully I can still play a role, hopefully make sure that we get him out as soon as possible now. But look, thank you for taking the time on this very cold night coming out and for a farewell for me. I'm very, very humbled by that, and I'm very, very proud to have represented you collectively in the Federal Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Hayes. Can I also invite you to remain on the stage for the cake cutting? Yeah.
What's on the cake? There's not enough candles here, I'm afraid.
So we put a candle on, or so we put a candle or not? No candle. No candle. All right. Well, Chris and Bernadette, please do the honor. So this is a beautiful cake that our members have prepared for you. There you go. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you. All right, take a picture.
Thank you. I'll let those have it.
Yes, we'll take a picture.